Good afternoon, everyone. I, CA Pragya Jain, on behalf of the Professional Skill Enrichment Committee of ICI, welcome all the participants in today's webcast on the confidence advantages building self mastery skill for professional success. First of all, I welcome today's resource person, CA Sharda Ravindranji, and other present over here. And it's an absolute pleasure me to introduce today's speaker. CA Sharda Ravindranji is a versatile finance professional with work experience from India and abroad USA, with specialities of being able to quickly adapt to the dynamic work environment, sharp technical skill, effective communication skill, creativity, and a keen eye for detail and out of the box thinking. She is a qualified chartered accountant and a certified public accountant from USA with more than 18 years of professional experience. Once again, we welcome you, CA Sharda Ravindran ma'am. And without further ado, let me start the today's webcast. Over to you, ma'am.
Namaste, good afternoon, happy new year to everyone, and thank you so much, Pragya ma'am, for that wonderful introduction. Give me a minute to share my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, welcome once again. It is nice to have you all on this session on the confidence advantage, building self mastery skills for professional success. It is such a beautiful subject because contrary to the popular belief that many times people think that self mastery skills, self confidence is something which people are born with. It is like a gift that they are endowed with. But that's not true. The good news is that self confidence, self mastery skills, just like any other skill, is something which can be cultivated, something which can be inculcated with lot of consistency, dedicated practice, and perseverance. So, with that, I'm just reminded of a beautiful anecdote, even before we just venture further into the slides and go dive deep into the session. So, I'm reminded that one of the world's famous violinists, in fact, the top violinist, he was maybe the number one violinist in the world. He was just coming out of one of his musical concerts when a journalist actually who tried to talk to him told him, "Sir, you are just a master at the instrument," meaning the violin. You are a master at the instrument. Your self confidence when you start playing the violin is so amazing. You are blessed. You are gifted. Now, the violinist just smiled at the journalist, but it is a very famous event because it is known that after smiling at the journalist, after the journalist stepped away, the violinist just turned to his wife who was standing nearby him. He smiled at her and he said, "I have spent years practicing on this instrument for 18 hours a day. And still, before my concert, I always think that this is my first concert and I keep practicing. I actually, until I gain that perfection. And from there stems my mastery. From there stems my confidence. And I have spent so many days fighting that fear, that insecurity. And today they call me a genius. Today they call me a born genius. They are saying I'm blessed with the gift of self confidence. These skills are really not something people are born with. It is always something which is inculcated by consistent practice, perseverance, and consistency. And also, like many of you might be knowing, where the same thing with our own very cricketing legend Rahul Dravid, when somebody asked him, "Sir, what is the secret of your confidence? What is the secret of your genius and all that?" He said, "Practice, practice, practice." And looking at every ball that is being bowled to me as being the first ball of my innings, the day how I faced my first ball in international cricket, the same level of dedication I take it for every ball, no matter what my experience, no matter what is my years of like practicing cricket. So that kind of a dedication, that kind of a consistency is the name of the game. And with that comes the confidence, the self mastery skills. And it is certainly not something people are born with or endowed with. So the good news is that we can always have it with us, just like how we see all those people and we admire those people who are brimming with that self confidence, brimming with that self mastery skill. We can also be one of those people who can actually now be admired by others because we have mastered the art of self mastery and confidence. All right. Okay. With that, we'll just proceed into the session. All right. So just a quick a summary of what is or what are the session objectives. We would be looking at what is self mastery, the pillars of self mastery, consistency, as we just saw, the mother of credibility. What does it take to be consistent? Connection, the mind connection, the brain connection, which is a very important loop, which maybe that is the loop that is missing. Maybe that is the difference between the so-called confident people and people who still are on the way on getting there. That's the bridge that we have to cross. What is the relationship between gratitude and self-confidence? The confidence advantage, moving from self-doubt to self-belief. And of course, the final segment would be building our own action plan, owning our professional narrative. How do we build that action plan where we develop this particular skill, this particular art, or whatever you call it, of self mastery and building that self confidence? Right. Before we even go into the next slide, I just want to share a very interesting story, personal life story. So this actually, the time when I was preparing for my CA final exams, I was on my study leave, right? And you know how it is. The days when we are getting ready for that final, maybe many people think it is the final battle, final war, the day when we are getting ready for that, our D day, and like the study leave, you know how it is. And you also know how it is when you talk to a bunch of friends who are also preparing for the exam and they tell you, oh, I have referred this book, I have referred that book, I have completed all these past year question papers. I have completed a revision test. I have done this, done that. I'm scoring excellent marks. It is not that you really feel, oh, am I really doing all these things? Am I referring so many books? Or am I actually taking as many tests as my friends are doing? Am I really lacking? You start getting that insecurity, right? That fear builds within. So you start really feeling, oh my God, I really don't know whether I'm really ready for the exam, whether I should take it this time or maybe I should just postpone. Maybe I'm not yet ready. Same thing, right? I was no different from any of those scenarios. So I was also having that kind of a fear. Exam is just a month away. The time when I was feeling like this, whether I'm really ready for the exam, is when the exam was just hardly a month away. And I was really feeling, oh my God, what is this? I really have just 30 days or even lesser time. And I really don't feel completely prepared or completely ready for the exam. What am I going to do? Getting that kind of fear. Now, what happened that day? And usually, when you feel like that, you really want to come out of your study room, maybe breathe some fresh air, maybe talk to somebody, your mother, your father, or your siblings, or anybody, just to feel a little comfortable. But unfortunately for me, that day nobody was at home that afternoon. People had gone out because of some work. So I thought, okay, what do I do now? I really need a break. I don't feel like continuing my studies because I'm not feeling good. So I thought, okay, let me just switch on the TV. Maybe I will watch some good program for maybe some 30 minutes or so. That will be refreshing. And then I'll go back to studies, or maybe I'll start thinking if I'm ready for the exam or whatever it is. So I started surfing the channels. I didn't know what to watch as well because I was kind of not a very person who watches a lot of programs on television. So I didn't even know at that time of the day what really are the programs or what channels I need to really prefer. I was just aimlessly surfing. When I was just changing channels, I just saw one channel where they were just showing a documentary on Antarctica. I was just seeing they were showing all ice, and it was a documentary that was running. That point of time, the heated moment it was, I really thought, okay, let the snow on Antarctica cool me down. So maybe, and I will never get a chance to go to Antarctica, right? Maybe this is the only chance watching it on TV, on a documentary. Let me see this documentary. Trust me, that documentary on Antarctica that I watched that day, it has been and it is still my inspiration. I'll tell you what happened and why it is an inspiration, but just giving you some idea on why I'm touching upon this when I'm talking about the self confidence and self mastery. That has been a game changer for me. In fact, because when I tell you what happened in that documentary, maybe you will feel I'm not going further. I don't want to spoil this. I don't want to be a spoil sport by breaking the suspense. So, but then just to give you an example, that documentary was a game changer for me. You know what? The documentary on Antarctica was about the most beautiful inhabitant of Antarctica. Who's that? The penguin, right? The emperor penguin. It was actually showing about the life of the emperor penguin. It was also focusing on the breeding season and how was such a tough life in Antarctica, how the emperor penguin negotiates that life, and also it actually it has its own breeding season, it grows its babies, everything happens in that tough life where even human beings are unable to survive. Particularly, the most beautiful aspect of the documentary was it was actually showing how the male and the female penguins they actually raise their babies. It is such a beautiful documentary, and maybe it had been these days. If even now, maybe if you search on the internet, you might find the documentary. But those days, like there's no link or something for me to watch it again. So I was like making sure that it is imprinted in my mind forever because it was such a kind of like beautiful documentary. So now you know what it was showing me the breeding season of the penguin happens in peak winter. Unlike maybe there are even other inhabitants on Antarctica, maybe like the seal or other small creatures, maybe those don't even have their breeding season in peak winter, like how the emperor penguin does it. So this is about the emperor penguin. Maybe there are other penguins, classes of penguins there, but the emperor penguin, it has its breeding season in peak winter when there is no sunlight. So the sun is gone for 6 months, right? In peak winter, it's totally kind of a twilight darkness, and the temperatures range from minus 40 degrees Celsius to minus 60 degrees Celsius. That is when in further interior Antarctica, in mainland Antarctica, is when their breeding season starts. And that's the place, and it is not anywhere near the ocean. It is inside, where it is very cold, and there are thick sheets of ice. But you know why? The emperor penguin actually chooses interior Antarctica where there are thick shelves of ice because it knows that the ice is actually very strong. It is a huge layer, thick sheet, which actually is able to bear the weight of all the colony of penguins that are actually going there for the breeding season. That is one. The second thing, the female emperor penguin lays the eggs. It hands over the egg to the male, which is going to take care of the egg for the next 2 to 3 months. It holds the egg in its feet, while the female penguins venture into the ocean for like nourishment, for eating, because they have to come back and feed their babies. So, partnering with the female penguins, the male penguins, they take the eggs and they put it inside their feet. And you know, the way they actually take the eggs from the female penguins, they have to be very careful because if the egg is going to touch the sheet of ice, the freezing temperature means the life inside is going to die. So, with such a knack of a master, they just take the egg from the female penguins and they keep it inside, like in between their legs. And trust me, the way they take care of the egg in the peak winter, all the male penguins out there, they form a huddle so that the warmth actually keeps them together. And there is no food. 2, 3 months till the female penguins are back, the male penguins are going to starve because they're just going to stand there and take care of the eggs. Next, they actually form the huddle and they have mastered the art of how the huddle is going to be. It is not just one penguin is always going to stand outside, the rest are going to be inside. They take their turns in moving. The ones that stand inside will go outside. The ones that stand outside will come inside periodically so that the huddle is there, the warmth is there, but at the same time, all the brunt is not borne by a few penguins who are standing in the front or the outside part of that huddle. So that is the way they plan. And the freezing winds, it is not just the temperature which makes Antarctica cold, right? We all know that. It is the driest continent of the planet where such huge winds blow, and it adds kind of it's very painful because the winds actually make the cold even more bitter. In those cold, freezing winds, no sunlight, no food, and they have to stand in a proper position because the slightest kind of too much of an activity while standing, the egg will fall on the ice. They take care of that egg beautifully for the 2 3 months. I was just wondering, when I was watching that documentary, I was just wondering, have these penguins mastered this art in one day? No. But then, what really makes them master of this particular art? How are they so confident that in this freezing winter, they definitely can raise their babies and they're taking turns in doing that? You know what? This self mastery, this confidence, it comes with certain factors, which is called your address. That is an acronym which I have given based on my own assessment. So that is called your address. And I thought it was a very beautiful acronym because address is our identity, right? So our identity depends upon these factors or the address based on which we build our self mastery, our self confidence skills. We are going to look at all those address, the factors in the subsequent slides. But if I don't give you this background of the documentary, then maybe it becomes little difficult to understand how those factors are really crucial. And the most important point out there, what I learned from the penguins is that when other creatures, small creatures in Antarctica usually prefer the ocean, or even during the winter, maybe the places near the ocean are little warmer compared to the interior of the continent, right? But then the emperor penguin has understood that the interior of Antarctica, though outwardly it appears a very challenging environment, still the sheet of ice that is out there, it is actually giving you a solid foundation for you to grow your species, right? That is the moment which was an eye opener for me because circumstances, your situations, whatever it is, whatever the outside situation, whatever the outside circumstances outwardly might appear is going to break you down, but it is really not the situation out there, but your response to it, your kind of strength that really determines whether you are going to take that situation to your advantage, like how the emperor penguin knew that this thick sheet of ice, interior mainland Antarctica, which is ignored by other smaller species because they think it is a very, very cold place, so they stick on nearer to the ocean. Still, the emperor penguin moves inside because it knows that the sheet of ice that is closer to the ocean has the risk of breaking down soon because there are warm ocean currents even during the winter. And with the influence of those warm ocean currents, there is no stability in the sheet of ice that is nearer to the ocean. So anytime it might break and you end up falling into the sea, falling into the ocean. But when you venture into the mainland, into the inside of the continent, the thick sheet of ice is stable. It gives you a very strong foundation. You don't have the risk of falling into the ocean, or there is no kind of risk that the sheet of ice will break. The only thing you have to cultivate is you have to master that self confidence, that inner environment to know how to survive in this strong kind of outwardly difficult environment. So that was my learning out there. Something that looks outwardly easy, like for example, going nearer to the ocean, and there you can always, the smaller creatures survive there. And that's the reason why even there are other variety of penguins, small penguins. Those are not called emperor penguins. There is a reason why this class of penguin is called an emperor penguin, because it knows how to conquer the outwardly difficulties and become the emperor out there by nurturing its inner climate. It is knowing how to master, how to survive. Outwardly, things are so difficult, but then the outward environment or the situation doesn't really. I'm sorry, is somebody raising a hand? Uh, all right, I'm seeing a raised hand. Pragya ma'am?
Yeah, sorry, by mistake, I think.
Okay, that's fine. So that's the reason why it is called an emperor penguin, because it has gained that self mastery, and through that self mastery, self confidence, it knows that any difficulty in the external environment can never shake it, and it that confidence which makes it move inside the interior of the continent to raise its species, right? And it knows perfectly how to move its kind of like it knows how to play the game, how to move, how to form the huddle, how to like remain in the particular like situation. So that was an eye opener for me, which made me think that if a penguin, the emperor penguin, which is not even bestowed with that wonderful sixth sense which we humans are known to be blessed with, if an emperor penguin can know that a difficult situation outward is actually preparing you for an extraordinary destiny, all it is asking you is to build that inner mastery which through which you conquer that external environment. If the emperor penguin can do it, then why not me? Why am I getting that kind of insecurity? Why am I not feeling comfortable? Why am I doubting myself? That's when I decided I am not going to postpone my attempt, because if I feed this kind of insecurity in that is arising in my mind now, the same story is going to repeat itself before the next attempt, right? The next attempt before 30 days, I'm again going to feel the same way. I'm going to feel inadequate. I'm going to feel no, because you are giving your brain a kind of, you're feeding that insecurity. So the best way to develop self confidence is to start that feeling of insecurity and proceed, so that that feeling of insecurity dies out there. You're starving that feeling. Never feed that feeling of insecurity, self doubt, and fear. That's the lesson which I learned when I was watching the documentary from Antarctica, when I was watching that emperor penguin out there. And it is now that I have gone in the direction now. I have told myself that I am not going to postpone the attempt. Come what may, I will determine by strategies. I will do a very focused preparation in the next 30 days. Whatever has happened has happened. And I need not really look at the external environment as to how many books somebody is reading, or how many revision test papers they are solving, or how many model tests they are taking. Let me not get carried away by all these things. Let me look at my strategy, my preparation, and how I need to proceed. I'm not looking at, just like how the emperor penguin is not kind of distracted looking at the other species, right? The other species are actually like choosing the places near the ocean, and they are proceeding. The emperor penguin is not saying, oh, they are in a very safe place, I am actually kind of like struggling in this bitter cold. Never. It doesn't say that. It understands what it wants. It knows, it has done its own risk analysis. It knows that out there, outwardly it seems very comfortable, but there is a heavy risk that the sheet of ice will just break into the ocean, and the small eggs or the babies will fall into the ocean. But inside, that risk is not there, and that is the biggest risk which I want to avert. Otherwise, whatever happens, I know I can master my inner climate, I can master myself, and I can face this situation. That is the kind of confidence which I need to develop, is what I thought. So I will not look at other people, I will not see what they are doing. Their strategies are different, my strategy is different. What is the risk that I am trying to address, and how do I actually win over that, is what I need to think. And I will starve my negativity thoughts, I will starve my insecurity, I will starve my fear. I will never feed it by by kind of budging to it, saying that, all right, let me just postpone the attempt. Because once you feed it, every time it's going to ask for the same food, right? So I'm not going to do it. And I am going to feed my positive thoughts. I am going to feed it in the right direction so that I am able to proceed further. And remember, even now, and that's just not about that attempt of CA final for me. Even now, whenever I start getting a kind of insecurity, I start getting the fear, well, will I really do it right? Or whether I need to really quit. When I get all these thoughts, I still play that documentary in my mind, and that gives me instant inspiration. So, with that background, we will proceed further. So again, I gave you the background because I wanted to. So why am I bringing the emperor penguin here? So that's the reason why I gave that story. So as we see, the self mastery is something which maybe for me, the emperor penguin was an inspiration, but definitely there are so many inspirations we can look at. But then what really happens here? What is self mastery all about? Self mastery is definitely not overconfidence, or the arrogance. It is about understanding where you stand. What is your strength? What is your challenge? And what really is that risk which you are trying to avoid? And knowing the biggest golden truth that you are unique in your journey and you can never compare yourself with other people and try to question certain things. Because, as it is rightly said, all of us have a different set of question paper, right? Life, if you look at it as an exam, all of us have a different set of question paper. So when the question paper is different, we really cannot think of copying the answers, right? So what works for one person is definitely not going to work for us. We need to do our own like analysis, our own risk analysis, our own NPV analysis for understanding what exactly we are going to do in this journey. So that is where self mastery is understanding your journey. It is not about arrogance. And a person who, and when we talk about self mastery, it doesn't really mean that a person who really has inculcated this skill had no fear, or he really had no insecurity, or he was perfect. Never. Perfection is in fact a myth. Just like how we say that, like, courage is really not the absence of fear. Courage is the ability to overcome the fear. And as long as you have the ability to overcome the fear and proceed in the right direction, you really need not worry about, like, why did I get that thought? It's immaterial, right? It's all right. While driving a car, if you take a wrong turn, do you curse yourself? Do you say that, oh, why did I do this? I'm really not capable of driving. I need to quit driving. We don't say that, right? It's okay if you take a wrong turn. Just come, take a U turn and come back on the track. That is what is needed. Unfortunately, what happens is that when we are driving a car, we know this. I have never seen anybody cursing themselves for taking the wrong route, right? In fact, more often than not, when we follow the Google Maps, we end up getting confused, going to the wrong, taking the wrong right or taking the wrong left. It happens quite a lot with all of us. But I've never seen even one person cursing themselves for taking a wrong turn, or like kind of taking a wrong road or anything. They just find out what is the next U-turn, or what is the next turn they can take to get back on track. That is all about self mastery. It is not the absence of fear. It is not the absence of insecurity. In fact, if you have to master, if you have to inculcate that self confidence, if you have to become a self master, you have to be strong enough to face all those insecurity. You have to be strong enough to face all those fears, and then know how to take the turn and come back, because we really cannot avoid all these when we are going on the path of self mastery, right? It is a beautiful journey, and unless we know what is that fear, what is that insecurity, how will we ever know what is that self mastery and what is it to be self confident? So that is where self mastery is not arrogance. It is not the absence of fear, or it is not the absence of insecurity. All of this is there, but in spite of that, we know how to come back on track. And self mastery is all about understanding right now where we are, What is our destination? Where are we planning to go? What is our strength? What is our challenge? What is the risk that we are willing to take? What is the risk that is totally non negotiable? And how do we get there? Not getting distracted by other people's actions or other people's objectives. That is all self mastery is all about. And that is where there is a silent growth that happens. As we would have heard the proverb, the storm is not going to change anything in your life, right? If you are facing a storm at sea, the storm is not going to change anything in your life, but for the fact that the person you are before the storm is going to be totally different from the person whom you become after the storm has passed. And that is the biggest difference, right? Outwardly maybe nothing changes, but inwardly you become a conqueror. You become a conqueror of everything. That is the reason why storms are made, right? So we have often heard this proverb, but then need not necessarily be a storm, or it need not necessarily be a climate that is so bad as the one in Antarctica. Even small things that, because these things are something which is maybe it is very drastic, or it is just like how watching a horror movie, certain things actually give you a lot of like exaggerated version of everything. But trust me, even small things of which we often question ourselves, doubt ourselves, are also as good as any storm. So once we actually go through that storm, we will be a different version of ourselves. So that is what the self mastery is about, the silent growth that is guided by that self mastery. Again, it is not fighting the storm, but by self mastery, you are within the storm building yourself. You are not running away from the storm, like how postponing an attempt is like running away from the storm, right? I was planning to run away from the storm. I was getting not very confident. I was getting that fear, the feeling of inadequacy, that I'm not prepared. Again, we will talk more about how that being prepared enough itself is a myth. Perfection, ideal, that is a trap. We will talk about it. But then that inadequacy, running away, is like running away from the storm, trying to like push it. But then the same thing will happen when you come nearer to when you just postpone things. The mind will play the same movie again when you are actually going towards when you are approaching the postponed deadline. It is again going to play the same movie for you, because you have not taught the mind how you have to handle the situation. Instead of that, you just told the mind that running away is an easy answer. So every time the situation approaches, the mind will again play the same movie, saying that, okay, you taught me this, right? If something comes, you don't have to build your strength, but you just have to run away from the situation and find an easy alternative. It was you who taught me this. And the mind is actually playing the game for you. So unless we train the mind is again going to play the same movie. And trust me, if you are going to like follow a wrong route, do you even expect that you are going to reach the right destination? I had the same question that day when I was trying to postpone my attempt. I was thinking, what if the next attempt also, just before 1 month before the exam, what if I get the same feeling? What if I get the same feeling that I'm inadequate? Am I going to keep pushing my attempts till the end of my life? Am I going to be so kind of like scared to go for the exam that I keep pushing my attempts till maybe I come to a stage where I no longer even feel like thinking about the exam and I just discontinue? Is this what I'm going to do? I was thinking. Because today, if I tell my mind that I'm running away from the situation, my mind is always going to play this movie for me. And this is the wrong route that I'm taking. And in this wrong route, I can never expect the right destination. Correct? I cannot expect my mind to be building up with confidence for the next attempt if I have not taken any efforts towards it. If I simply now say, okay, postpone, next time we will see what happens next time as we come closer to the deadline. And as I come closer to the deadline, again my mind will play the same movie, and this will just be repeating itself. Unless you take steps to train the mind, unless you come back on the right track, you cannot expect to reach the right destination. So I am not going to feed this thought of insecurity. I am not going to feed this thought. And even now, whenever I get this thought of insecurity, when I get this fear, I just tell myself loudly, this is not me. This insecurity, this fear is just not me. I just say that aloud sometimes so that I dismiss that thought. I tell my mind that, look, whatever you are showing me right now is not my movie. I don't want this movie. I tell my mind like that. And maybe it's a very small trick that is working for me. You can also try if it works for you, but I do that. When my mind is actually showing me that pictures of fear, insecurity, I just say that this is not my movie. Come on, it is my story. It is my life. And in all of your life, tell me who is the hero or who is the heroine? In my life, I am the hero. I am the heroine, right? I deserve the best version of the story. Today, if I give you, like, maybe assuming that you won a lottery or maybe you won a great inheritance, crores of rupees, you decide to like produce a movie. Tell me, will you not play the role of a hero? Will you not play the best character in the movie? Then why is it that you have to accept some kind of a fear or an insecurity, that kind of a low confidence movie that your mind is playing? One fact is that we have not trained the mind, and that is the effort that we are going to take. That is the session all this is about. But trust me, first day itself, mind will not change, right? We have been kind of used to this version of the movie for so long that now if you start training the mind right from today to show you the best version, the mind doesn't know. It needs some time to train, right? Till that time, you have to tell when the mind is trying to show that old movie, play the old version of insecurity, fear. You just have to tell, this is not my movie. This is not me. This is not my story, right? Even after years of doing that, even now, it is not that one fine day everything will be erased. No, even now, when we have to face a tough challenge, when maybe that particular day, having a bad day, when you really lack that kind of like confidence, even after taking efforts to have built it for so long, even there are days, to be very honest, where I feel insecure. I feel scared. I feel, oh, is this okay? Can I even do it? This kind of questions come. But this is the strategy which works for me. And sometimes I go in front of the mirror, look at myself and say that whatever thoughts right now, this insecurity, this negativity that is running, it's not me. It is not my story. I refuse to accept this. I just say that because unless we say something and dismiss, it is going to keep playing. And if I need the best version of the story, I have to be sure that I will never accept anything other than the best version, right? So that is one kind, and that is not fight. So that is how you don't fight the storm. Storm doesn't mean a storm from outside, the storm of negative thoughts that is being played here, right? What is the meaning of fighting the storm? These negative thoughts are coming. Are you enough? Are you adequate? You don't really have the skill to do this. This is the kind of negative thoughts that run here, right? And trust me, negative thoughts are more powerful than positive thoughts in terms of speed. One negative thought is capable of pulling 1,000 negative thoughts with it together. It will very easily remind you of your past failures. It will remind you of all the negative things people have told about you, and all the negative things which you have about yourself, those things where you really feel bad about yourself, everything will come like a string. It is like an engine which will pull its very beautiful train along with it. That is a storm. And at that time, we don't know what to do, right? When that storm is happening here, we try to fight the storm. What is fighting the storm? Trying to control the thought, right? Trying to, like, you feel so bad, you try to control the thought, you try to like distract yourself from the thought by like maybe doing something like what I did the other day, watching the TV. What I did was just trying to be fortunately for me, the documentary that was running on the television was an inspiration. But had it been some other program, I would have just watched for 30 minutes. And in that 30 minutes, I would have just forgotten the negative thoughts. It is a way of like fighting the storm. But after the 30 minutes, more powerful it becomes. It comes with all the more power and it will try to punch you on the face, right? That's what will happen. Fighting the storm is fighting these negative thoughts in the mind. And what is that negative thought? What is that fighting of the negative thought? It is like trying to control the thought, which will give you headache, which will give you stress, which will increase your cortisol. Your adrenal will start secreting the stress hormone cortisol, right? It will push you like anything. You feel so bad. You feel like quitting everything and running away somewhere because you are trying to control the thought. You don't like this thought, but it is coming, and we don't know what to do. We try to fight. And this is what happens. Or you take a distraction where you go, you watch a movie, you go, you talk to people. But when you come back from that, you feel that it gets more powerful. The storm is being more powerful because instead of like doing the things necessary for calming the storm, what we did was we tried running away from the storm, right? We tried to like running away, we tried different things which is not the remedy for it. So what is like building the calm within the storm, like what the penguin does. See, fortunately, when it is a physical thing that is happening, when you see the penguin, you see the heavy winds of the Antarctic blowing, you see how the penguin is actually calmly doing it there. You understand what it is to not fight the storm, but to stay there very calm. But when it comes to fighting the storm that is running here, we really don't know what it is to stay calm and fight the storm. For me, staying calm and fighting the storm means not controlling the thoughts, not trying to distract the thoughts, but just like what I now said, when the thoughts are flowing in my mind, I accept it. I accept that, yes, at this point of time, these negative thoughts of fear, inadequacy, low confidence, all kind of negativities about me is running in my mind. I accept. But I say that these thoughts are not me. These thoughts are not meant for me. These thoughts are not going to be part of my story. I refuse to accept them being part of my story, but let them run. So, what happens when I do this? Practically, I have seen when you do this, the thoughts run, and when you silently observe them, saying that these are not going to be part of my story, these are not meant for me, go, 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 right? Automatically, after some time, they pass. The storm is gone. If you fight the storm, it becomes more and more like powerful. It bounces back with more power. The best way to fight the storm is to allow it to pass, right? If the storm comes, allow it to pass, let it go. Then you can actually start building your empire. That is the principle that really works for me because before I started doing this, I always used to do the same thing what I just said, running away, distraction, finding the best distraction. Or I used to think, oh no, I don't want this, I don't want this. I used to feel so bad about myself that these thoughts are coming in my mind. I used to feel more and more worthless because these thoughts are coming in and I really don't know how to fight them. Allowing them to pass, acknowledging them, but at the same time, not kind of accepting those things to be part of your story. The best way. That is what the penguin does. Not fighting the storm, but by building that self mastery. And this is all about self mastery. Now you know what you want, right? That is self mastery. You know that these thoughts are not going to be part of your story. You refuse to accept them as part of your story. I write my story. I write the script of my story, and I will not allow anything but the best. That is self mastery, and it is built with discipline and patience. Look at the third point out there. It is built with discipline and patience. Self mastery is not about motivation. We will understand what is the difference between motivation and discipline because motivation is temporary in nature. Today, I want to do something. I just get into the particular thing, but then there is no consistency. The best example, given that we are in the month of January, the best example is the example of the gym. Look at the gyms on the 1st of January. You don't even find a parking slot there because people are motivated towards a healthy lifestyle. It is good. Motivation is needed to get you start something, but it is not enough for you to build the particular habit, right? What is required for building the particular empire or building the particular habit is consistency. What is required is discipline. What is required is patience. Just like any other positive trait, any other habit, even self mastery is built with patience, discipline, consistency, perseverance. We are going to look at it. And again, the last point out there, storm outside, but a very calm inside. So when this is possible, storm outside and calm inside doesn't really mean just about the outside environment. As I said, even if negative thoughts are creating a storm in your mind, don't allow that thought to sink into your mind. Don't don't accept that thought. Let it be there. It's all right. It will pass after some time. But if you start fighting it, it is going to become a lot of problem out there because your energy is drained. And what beautiful energy has to be used for the actual work or the actual task on hand, it is getting wasted in unnecessarily trying to control those negative thoughts. So unless you accept it, nothing is going to happen and you write your story, right? Okay. So this is what I was mentioning. I was referring to what is self mastery, and there you need some factors based on which self mastery is built, right? And acronym that I have given is address because it defines your identity. And as I earlier said, self mastery is all about understanding where you stand now, where you want to go, and how you will do it. That is what I have put down. Below, if you see the definition, the ability to understand, manage, and continuously improve oneself, especially under challenging circumstances. That is all about self mastery, is all about. And this self mastery is what builds the self confidence, right? So that is where it becomes very crucial. Now, look at the factors. Look at the factors that define the address, your identity. A stands for awareness. D stands for discipline. D for direction. R for reflection. E for experience and explore. S is for self love. S is for serene in the storm. Now, okay, we have looked at this. Let's take a very, very simple example here. Suppose I want to go to a particular destination, okay? Imagining I'm going to a supermarket, correct? I'm going to drive there. So if I have to drive my car from my home to the supermarket, what is the first thing I have to do? I have to know that I am now right now at my home and my destination is the supermarket. And I'm going to go there driving by car. Bus, it's very easy. That's awareness. The first A. Where do you stand right now and where do you want to go? How you're going to go? I'm going to take the car. And whether I know driving, that also I need to know. So that is awareness. I am here at my home. I want to go to the supermarket. I'm going to take the car there and I know driving. That is awareness. I know my strength. I know how to drive. I know that. That is awareness. to see my screen? Able to see my screen?
No, ma'am.
Sorry? Able to see? Able to see? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Because of the power fluctuation. All right. So we were talking about self mastery being the address, right? And we were saying, what is awareness? Awareness, as I said, you know that you are right now at your home. You know that you are going to go to the supermarket. You're going to go there by car. And you know that you know how to drive. That is awareness, correct? And what is discipline? Discipline is knowing the rules of driving, knowing the rules of the road, the traffic rules. Discipline, because without that discipline, you are not able to drive properly. You are not going to reach your destination. That discipline that is required, right? What is direction? You need to know the direction in which you have to drive. If you need to go to the supermarket, and all the more is reflection. What is reflection? The next hour that is coming out there. Tell me something. Suppose I'm driving in the evening when the sun is not there, meaning it is not daylight. You don't have light, natural light. What will I do? I will like turn on my headlights, correct? Tell me, if I were to start my car from the parking, turn on the headlights, will I see the supermarket? It is light, correct? My car is started. Will I see the supermarket? I will not see. The best I can see, always remember, is just some 10 meters or 20 meters from my car. That is enough. The reason why I'm giving this example is just like how, as soon as I switch on my headlights, I am not going to see the supermarket. Similarly, your goal, your destination is not going to be visible as soon as you start the car. This is where all of us get that feeling of inadequacy, right? Because we think when it is the car example, it is very easy. It seems to be a very even see the supermarket or my destination as soon as I turn on my headlight. Correct? Seems to be a very kind of a foolish kind of a question. But all of us do this mistake when it comes to moving towards our goal, our objective. What happens there? We think that as soon as we turn on the headlights, we have to see our destination, meaning we have just started practicing how we have to like inculcate this art of self mastery, how we need to build that self confidence. We know certain things, the do's and don'ts. We start building that habit, we start building that trait. But what is that we expect? We do it for 2 days, we expect that we have to be the most confident person on this earth. We have to become a person who has mastered himself. Remember, this is just like expecting that you will see the supermarket as soon as you turn on the headlights of your car. All that will be visible is just the 10 to 20 meters ahead of your car. Similarly, all that will be visible to you at the time when you start practicing is that you are now starting a new habit or a new trade and you are willing to go. But what is the thing that is required for you to reach the supermarket? You have to keep driving. That is the consistency. That is where the reflection, experience, and explore comes. You have to keep driving if you have to reach the supermarket. Just turning on the engine and just turning on the headlights is not going to be sufficient for you to reach the destination. Similarly, consistency is required, just like for any other trade, for building that self confidence, self mastery. Consistency is required, just like how we need to keep driving, we have to consistently keep showing up. One example here I'll give you. Whether it is self confidence, self mastery, or any other trait that we are building, I think the analogy is still the same. So, I am a certified level 2 yoga coach, right? But when I started with my yoga journey, so I started as a student, I was continuously practicing yoga, and then I took the coach training, and I'm a level 2 certified yoga coach. But trust me, when I first started my yoga journey, the first day when I went to the studio to as a student to start learning and anything, I was kind of shocked to see how like people are able to practice yoga. Like I was able to look at people doing their asanas, the other fellow students, the fellow practitioners out there. I was looking at them doing the asanas. I was kind of shocked. Oh my God, I'm not even able to do a basic Surya Namaskar properly. And these people are doing Shirashasana, they are doing advanced asana so well. I decided, okay, I don't think I even fit into this group. I am nowhere even near. I can't even do anything. So that's when I went to my coach. I told him, sir, I don't think I can even do anything because I'm not so flexible. I'm not even able to do my Adho my Surya Namaskar. I'm not even able to do properly. So I don't think I can do all these advanced asanas which these people are so effortlessly doing. You know what my coach said? You should consistently come every day to the class first, not miss your sadhana even one day. And it is not necessary you have to practice for 1 hour every day. We know that life sometimes gets in between. You might not be able to practice your sadhana for 1 hour, but ensure you don't miss. You shouldn't be missing even a single day. You should be doing at least for 10 minutes. Do at least some 4 or 5 asanas, finish it off. Then you can actually proceed. If someday, if it's a very busy day for you, these two things for the next 3 months first. Completely forget everything. Don't look at other people, what asanas they are doing, how well they are doing. Forget everything. Whatever I am teaching you, practice the sadhana every day and ensure that you don't absent yourself from the class. Come every day for the class. We will talk after 3 months whether you are really capable or whether you really fit into the yoga journey. All these things, I don't think you need to be talking now. This is the first day of your class. Please go. Come after 3 months. If you still think that you are not made for yoga or anything, you are free to go. You can quit. I still remember what the best piece of advice, and you will not trust me, I got the best student of the batch award because I followed his advice in letter and spirit. And now I really thank him for what he said that day. Because we make this mistake whenever this self doubt comes, this kind of inadequacy feeling comes. What are we doing? We are comparing our first day with somebody's like maybe 365 days, or maybe that person who is practicing out there, he has been practicing yoga for 1 year. It is his 365th day. Today is my first day. I went and compared. Oh, today, how beautifully. Tell me, was somebody born a yoga kind of practitioner? People have learned everything after coming here, and it is by consistency, it is by practice, it is by that dedication, that perseverance, that confidence is built. Self mastery, self mastery, self confidence, like how that violinist told, like the example that I shared, the anecdote that I shared in the beginning. It is not something which somebody is endowed with or somebody is gifted with or something like that. It is just like any other art, it is practiced, it is cultivated, it is inculcated, and consistency is the main ingredient, it is the secret sauce. with that consistency comes confidence. And why? The mind connection we are going to see. So the reflection, experience, and explore is talking about the consistency. And when we say experience and explore, all kind of experiences you should be willing to kind of like accept. Meaning, nobody becomes a great yoga practitioner on the first day. And even consistent practice, nobody does it perfect on his fourth day, fifth day. Failure is always a part of this journey. All this inadequacy, this fear, everything is part of this journey. You have to first accept that. But what you must not accept is to allow them inside your mind to say that, okay, this is part of the journey. So I will take you into my story. Why? You can be part of the story, but you are just the sightseers. If I'm driving my vehicle, if I look at something outside that is not so beautiful, or that is not, maybe it is something which is ugly or something like a dirt or something, a dust or a garbage, will I take that garbage willingly inside my car? While I cannot avoid driving in that road, that garbage might come there because it is there in the road where I'm driving. That is all. I accept that that garbage is there in the road where I'm driving. But why should I take it inside my car? This is my car and I want my car to smell good and I want my car to look the best, correct? So it is the same thing. While all this insecurity, all these failures or all this inadequacy, everything is going to come here. It is just like when it is coming in the mind, it is, remember, a thought, a negative thought that is crossing the mind, it need not necessarily be part of your life. It is just like that sight scene. It is just like the scene that is coming outside your window when you're just driving the vehicle. It might come there, but unless you take it willingly inside the car, it is not going to affect your life. So if that particular garbage, if you're taking that garbage in, it is your mistake. You need to keep driving, right? What is the best way to pass that garbage? Will you go and fight that garbage? You will keep driving away from that garbage, right? Easiest way. Similarly, keep doing consistency. It's okay. If I fall down, I will again get up. I will again do it. Keep going, keep going. Instead of looking at that garbage, we don't get out of the car, we don't go to that garbage, we don't shout at the garbage, right? We don't tell them, why did you come on my way? I was going to the supermarket and you are like here. Why are you here? I don't want you here. Get away from here. Is this what we do? No, right? We keep driving. Similarly, we need to continue with our journey. We don't have to worry about all these things that are coming in the way, right? And that is where self love is important. There is a reason why this address is written in a certain way. Self love is there because when you are experiencing and exploring, the E that is out there, when you are experiencing and exploring, you will definitely on this way towards building that self confidence and self mastery. You are definitely going to have days, you're going to have moments, you're going to have periods when you feel inadequate, when you're going to like really feel as a failure, you're going to feel that you have lost it. That is where your self love comes into picture. As much as you love your car, love yourself. Don't take the garbage inside. Serene in the storm. So, what happens when you do all this? When you are aware, when you are disciplined, when you know the direction, you are able to reflect on your journey, whether you're driving right. And when you are able to experience and explore everything, but not react to it, and you are able to conquer that experience with that self love, what happens? You stay very, very serene in the storm, right? So that's the reason why there's a particular order in which it is written. So when you follow these factors, that is what self mastery is all about. That is your address. That is your identity, right? Always remember your address. Now, when we talk about awareness, this is a beautiful example that I could think of. That is why I put it. Now, suppose you know that this is where I am, this is where I need to go, this is how I will go. But very often than not, things don't go as per plans, right? We think we have to do this, but we think that this is the road we need to take. You will see that the road is closed. The road is some construction is happening out there and the road is closed. Take diversion. You will see a notice. Do you feel bad about it? As long as you know driving, why should you even worry which road you're taking? If one road is closed, I have the skill to drive. I will take a turn, I will go through the other road. That is what the bee says, right? Very often than not, we see that the honey is always taken by human beings. But the bee is not repenting that you have taken the honey. Why? Because it knows that while human beings can steal its honey, they can never steal its ability to make honey, which is very unique to the bee, right? So, as long as you know that this is your skill or this is what you need to do, why will you worry if the road is difficult? So, this is a beautiful example or an analogy that I wanted to put. While awareness is very essential, awareness also comes with the fact that you know your skill, right? In the self mastery, the first is awareness. That awareness also know that you know how to drive. That is also part of awareness, right? So when you know how to drive, you will not repent if the roads are going to be difficult. That's like just how the bees analogy out there. Now, we spoke about discipline, correct? In that address, what was the D? The AD, discipline. And earlier, I remember telling you that discipline is little different from motivation, not little different, in fact, very different from motivation. And I was giving you the example of the gym, right? Given this is January, you will see that first week of January or first of January, you will not even find parking spaces at the gym because people are so motivated. Of course, motivation is needed for starting something, but discipline is needed for completing it, for continuing it. And what is the difference between motivation and discipline? Motivation is a sudden surge, correct? It is a sudden rush of adrenaline. When that adrenaline rush is there, you feel like doing it. If it is not there, you don't feel like doing it. So, motivation lacks consistency. And for building any kind of trait, including this beautiful self confidence or self mastery, all you need is that consistency. It is similar to the example I gave you of my yoga classes. I might be motivated to learn yoga. I started my classes. But before I started my yoga journey, I was complete, like kind of a sedentary kind of a lifestyle. I was not even doing anything. In fact, 30 minutes of walk by itself used to look at something, a Herculean task for me. But why did I start my yoga journey? Maybe somewhere I read about a fitness thing and I got motivated by that article. Usually that's how it happens for me. Many times I read a lot, so I read a particular article, I really deeply get motivated by it, I really want to try it out. But many a times, while motivation has helped me start, many a times I see that I'm not ending that kind of whatever I started. I used to feel, why is this happening with me? Was I not feeling so positive? Was I not feeling so motivated to start this process? Why is it I'm not completing? This was something which has often haunted me. Now I understand. Motivation is temporary. That surge of adrenaline, that kind of energy rush doesn't happen every day. But what keeps you going is the discipline. Come what may, I will do this. Tell me, are we motivated to brush our teeth every day? Something becomes part of your character after some time. But till that time, that discipline is needed. I know, as a kid, I never used to like to brush my teeth. When my parents were teaching me to brush my teeth, I never used to like brushing my teeth. So maybe they motivated me saying something first to for me to start it. But then everyday motivation will not happen, right? So that's discipline then. You have to, and how discipline is enforced in kids, we all know, right? My mom used to tell me like, unless you brush your teeth, you will not get your breakfast or you will not get your milk, something like that. That is a external discipline that is enforced when we are kids. But then as we grow, we need to know how we need to get that discipline out there. Discipline is choice driven action, even with or without motivation. You have that is showing up. Remember what my yoga coach told me, every day you need to come to the class. That itself is going to help me learn yoga, right? Motivation has only landed me in joining the classes. I read an article, I was carried away by all the benefits that yoga has to offer, all the benefits of being fit. I joined the classes, but after a point of time, that motivation will die down. It will not continue. So, what makes me going is that discipline. Trust me, just because he told me that every day you have to practice, even one day you shouldn't be missing your sadhana. And if you are not able to do it for 1 hour, do it at least for 10 minutes on a busy day. But you shouldn't miss. And if at all, by any reason you are missing on a particular day, ensure you bounce back as soon as possible. Don't make that that missed kind of the time period too broad, because your mind will then never come back. Bounce back. If you miss, you have to bounce back. That is the tactics. And trust me, even today I don't miss even one day of sadhana. That's because now it has become part of my life. But until something becomes part of your life, discipline is needed. Similarly, with the self confidence building habit, you learn what you now know what is address, and this is the address, the factors that govern self mastery. You start working on it, and I'm going to give you a personalized plan at the end of the session. That personalized plan you start implementing, but there will be days when you don't even feel motivated to implement that plan. Still, work on it. That is discipline, right? And that consistent progress will not come unless you consistently practice that discipline. And after a point of time, it becomes your part of you. And now no one needs to enforce discipline for me to go and brush my teeth, right? I have been doing it for so many years. Similarly, with any habit, perfection will not come until we practice, and that practice needs consistency. Without consistency, motivation is not going to help you build that particular trait or build that particular habit. Now, we spoke about consistency being the mother of credibility. Now, when we talk about credibility, what do we usually think? We think that credibility is about how much other people trust us, how much we are in the good books, or how much reliable they think we are. Trust me, even before we go to other people, this credibility is about your own image that you are creating in your mind. Tell me something. If, for example, taking my own yoga example, now because of motivation, I read an article, I was super excited, I joined yoga classes. Maybe that motivation stays with me for maybe a week or maybe 5 days. Somewhere it stays for 1 week, 5 days, it stays. Till that time, I'm very punctual, I'm very, very regular to classes, I'm going. After a point of time, what happens? The motivation dies down. And if I'm not consciously being consistent, what happens? I don't go to the yoga class. I don't practice. My sadhana is not done. Every day I'm not doing. When I feel like doing, I'm doing. Otherwise, I'm not doing. I don't make it a consistent sadhana practice. I'm not doing. Okay. What is the image now I have unconsciously built about myself in my mind now? Remember, every act, everything that you are doing, you are creating an image of yourself in your mind. Even before other people are there, that credibility, that you have now created your own credibility, a negative credibility in your mind. Next time when you start your habit, or next time you want to start anything further, you will never get the confidence that you are going to complete that. Why? First time you started something, you yourself, by not taking action, told your mind that I am an inconsistent person. I will never complete anything that I start. If I feel like doing, I will do. Otherwise, I will not do. This is the main culprit which is causing low confidence. Why does your brain tell you every time that you are not capable of doing, or why does your mind always keeps telling you that negative commentary? Because you, by your own actions, have built that image in your mind of yourself, right? And honestly, your mind is just playing back what you told. It is not capable of giving you something else. If you sow the seeds, only that vegetable will come, right? If you sow pumpkin, can you expect carrot? So what did you do? You told your mind, I am a kind of a person who will do things when I'm motivated. I am not consistent. I am not when the I am not very great in practice. I am not somebody who really cares about completing it. This is the kind of image that you did. You gave it, right? That is why next time when you are trying to do something, it is telling you you are not capable. It is giving you the same thing what you told. But now you are blaming the mind, saying that my mind is constantly giving me negative commentary. How do I get rid of it? The main way to get rid of the negative commentary. What is the way to get rid of? So, suppose I have a recording in a particular cassette. What is the main way to get rid of that recording? Record new things. Automatically, it will be overwritten, right? Same way, if you have to boost your self esteem, you have to boost your self image. What you have to do? First, that credibility has to be built for yourself. Forget about other people thinking how reliable you are. Your mind itself doesn't think you are reliable. Your mind doesn't think you are capable of completing it. It doesn't, it will tell you that, oh, okay, I know about you. You will start a task, you will do it for 5 days, then you will quit. That is what is your nature. But you only gave it the example, right? You played that movie. Change the movie now. For that, what is needed? Discipline gives consistency, right? And through that discipline, consistency, your own credibility, your own image about yourself. You feel good now when you go and stand in front of the mirror. Have you seen that? When I have often experienced, whenever I do something like that, like just like what I told you, there have been various examples during my school days when I started something feeling highly motivated, but I quit midway, or I didn't even complete beyond 1 week or 10 days. You know what, when such a thing happens, I feel so bad when I go and stand in front of the mirror. And all of us like inevitably stand in front of the mirror for a few minutes at least a day to comb our hair or get dressed or anything, right? I feel so bad when I look at myself in the mirror. Even now, you know how I test my self image, how I test my self confidence. If I'm feeling good when I'm going and standing in front of the mirror, that means I have been very, very consistent. I have been disciplined. If I feel something bad when I look at the mirror, I know that I started something with motivation, but I never completed. I never gave the kind of consistency. I never had the discipline to go through that. And what is this but lack of self confidence? Why, and who's responsible for this lack of self confidence? It was not the circumstances, or it was not people telling me all negative things or anything. Nothing. I myself was responsible. I started something, but then I was not able to complete, and that actually, trust me, gives a very poor feedback to your mind. We will talk about the mind loop. What is that action feedback loop of the mind? We will just see in the next slide. But then that actually gives a very poor feedback to the mind. The mind doesn't look for perfection, it looks for action. You know, when I was learning music, I during the earlier days, when I was when I was going, I used to think that I'm not really great at music, because there are so many people who had a lot of skill in learning music. Voice used to be very sweet. I actually was not very top performer there in music. Of course, I learned it because I wanted to experiment something new. But you know what? My teacher used to tell me, any art that is practiced, even imperfectly, empowers your soul, because you are actually putting the efforts. Remember, the mind is not going to reward perfection or the topper or anything like that. The mind rewards efforts. The mind sees that how consistent, how disciplined you are. That is where your self image is built. It is okay even if you are the last in the class. My teacher used to tell me, it is okay even if you come last in the class. In the music class, she used to tell me, it is okay even if you're not as good as these people, if you're not able to sing even as good as them, it's okay, but your consistent sadhana is empowering you. in ways that you don't even know. It is an intangible asset, right? Being a chartered accountant, we all know. Maybe outward, it is not very tangible. You are not topping the class. You are not actually like becoming a great singer, like your role model or anything. That is all right. The intangible kind of experience that it is creating, the gift that it is giving you, the intangible power that it is building, it is amazing. And I could see that whenever I practice something like that consistently, I might not get an award, I might not become a great singer, I might not become the world's number one yoga practitioner, but still that consistency is giving me the confidence. During my regular yoga practice, like when I was not missing, even now I do my sadhana, but those were the days when I was totally lacking confidence, right? So those days, even though I was not a very great performer and like I was not matching the skills of other people in the class, still I was feeling empowered. Still I was feeling that one day I can definitely do it. And where does that confidence come from? It comes from the fact that I have told my mind that I am putting regular efforts, and the self esteem is building because it is empowering me. Mind doesn't look at whether you are the top performer, whether you are actually topping the class, topping the charts. No, it looks at the fact that whether you are consistent in your efforts. Efforts are more important to the mind for as far as building that self confidence is concerned. So that is where discipline builds your consistency. Consistency gets converted into that confidence, which again is building the credibility. And once your own credibility in your mind is built, the rest is easy. Building other people's credibility is so easy, right? Whatever you see in this world is a reflection of your own self. How you are able to, and trust me, if you lack that self esteem, you are going and trying to build your credibility with others, you think you will be successful? The confidence, the credibility will reflect in every word that you talk, in every action, in every way you present yourself. And you don't really need to convince others when it comes to like building that credibility. They are able to observe you, they are able to see you, see your gestures, see your body language, see the way you are talking, and it reflects. Just like how the sun never needs to talk, its light is enough proof, right? Similarly, like when that credibility is really built, it is just like how the sunlight, the warm sunshine, people are able to recognize that person. You would have felt that way with your own moving circles or your own teams. You might have felt sometimes we feel very very comfortable when we go and talk to certain people. You feel like a warm sunshine, right? You feel that they talking to them boosts your confidence. That's because they are self confident themselves. They have a great self image of themselves because they have built that kind of credibility of themselves in their own minds, that image which is reflecting out just like how the sun shines, correct? And one beautiful example of consistency is what I have put there. You might have seen this example when you go to waterfalls, when you see like I had gone to Hokkaido where I had seen like consistently like when the waterfall is actually falling on a rock, the rock actually gets eroded, right? You will see the rock is totally eroded. Tell me what is harder than rock, what is softer than water? But even water with its consistency is able to win over that rock. But if you just take like maybe a big drum of water and you pour it on that rock, will the same thing happen? It is not about the quantity, or even if you pour one lorry load of water on the rock at one time, that kind of an erosion will not happen. That is the difference between motivation and consistency. Motivation is like pouring one, you get suddenly get that rush of energy, you start pouring one big drum of water on the rock, thinking that the effect will be miraculous. No, it doesn't work. But one drop of water every day is able to erode the rock. That's because consistency. So that is where we are talking about the credibility of ourselves built is going to reflect. It is going to inspire others and it is going to even build our credibility with other people. Now, again, this is just a image that I wanted to give. And again, this lighthouse, one reason why I have put it here is when we actually talk about the lighthouse, we think that, of course, it's true to some extent. A lighthouse, we always think that it is something which gives light or it shows the way to other people. Always remember, before others, it is ourselves. We are first trying to give ourselves the light. We are trying to get that light for our own way first. And once you get that light, it is easy to shine it for others, right? You are able to build that self confidence yourself. With a person with a low self confidence, low self esteem, will not be able to win anybody's confidence because he himself is not having that confidence. So more than credibility with other people, more than thinking about what other people think about me, whether I am reliable. First, do that introspection. Do you think that you are credible? Do you think that you are reliable? And for that, that consistency is needed because that image that is being built continuously. Remember, every action that we do, every avoidances that we do, we are building an image in our mind. And every time we are feeding that inadequacy, just like what I said, postponing my attempt. Every time you are going to feed that inadequacy, you are going to feed that fear, you are going to drop in your self esteem image that you have created in your mind because you are playing the wrong picture to your mind. And this is something very, very intangible. It looks very, very simple, very, very subtle, but it is not so. Yes, yes. All right. So, what I was saying was that light, we are first trying to get it for ourselves. And as I was saying, every act, every avoidance is trying to build an image within our minds. And it is based on that image that our self confidence, our self mastery is built. So, just like I was mentioning, when you are trying to feed that kind of insecurity, that fear every time, your mind will try to play the same picture to you every time, right? It will become a habit. So never feed that inadequacy, never feed that fear, avoiding one attempt, as I said in my example. That is nothing but feeding that fear, feeding that inadequacy. And as the further the postponed deadline approaches, it's going to be the same story again. My mind is again going to tell me the same thing because you have feeded the wrong center of the brain, right? Okay, now we are going to talk further about the mind connection. Now, we have spoken about it to some extent, but let us look at the one that I put here at the bottom, the text that is there, the font that is there in pink. Action, experience, feedback, neural strength, confidence. Now, this is the way how confidence is built. To be very clear, what is that neural strength? We all know that, like, we all have a neural network, right? That neural network, the set of neurons that connect our brain, correct? We all know that how is muscle strength built? If I were to ask you, how is muscle strength built? I know that many of you will immediately tell me that we have to go to the gym, we have to do weightlifting, we have to do all kind of physical exercises. But have we ever wondered how is the mind power built? By neural strength, we just mean mind power. It's just another way of putting it because our brain is connected with a lot of neurons. And there is also a term called neuroplasticity. Many of you might be aware. And what is neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is neural rewiring in the brain. Meaning what? I'll tell you. And that is good news because of the availability or the existence of this neuroplasticity, we are able to totally take away the wrong image that have created of ourselves in our brain, in our mind, and rebuild a new image. If at all there is no neuroplasticity, it is just like rewriting, correct? Suppose our mind says that whatever you have recorded once, I am not going to eliminate that or delete that. That remains for a lifetime. All of us would have suffered a lot because our mind, our brain is very, very flexible. There is this concept called rewiring, neuroplasticity, where if you have created a low self-esteem, a low image about yourself in your mind by feeding the wrong emotions like fear or like self kind of like inadequacy, if you feed it these wrong factors, still there is a chance. That's good news, right? And how do you do that neuroplasticity, the neural rewiring? That is called the neural strength. Just like even if you have a very poor physical body, a sedentary lifestyle, you have done nothing for your muscle strength, still you can make a beginning today. You can strengthen your muscles, right? Similarly, even for the mind, even if you have taught all negative things, even if your self image, your self esteem is very low, doesn't matter. Today you can make a new beginning. You really don't have to feel bad that all these while I have done things which I was a sedentary person before I started my yoga journey. But then when I started my yoga, the only difference is that once you start the journey, you have to continue the journey so that you don't bounce back to your old self, right? That is where the consistency is needed. So that is where this neural strength, and how is this neural strength, this mind power, how is it built? You take an action, you get an experience out of that action. Feedback is built in your mind, right? That is what I was mentioning before some time. Mind doesn't care about perfection. It doesn't care about whether you are actually topping the class or whether you are scoring 100%. It doesn't care. All it cares is whether you are taking action, whether you are taking efforts, or whether you are running away. Like, for example, in my example, fortunately, that attempt I cleared my CA. So I am very happy. But suppose I had failed that attempt. Do you think my self image about myself would have kind of like cramped or crumbled like anything compared to if I had postponed the attempt? No. Even in that attempt, if I had failed, still I will have the self confidence to study and the kind of like self belief that I will definitely able to prepare better based on the experience that I have gained, and I will definitely be able to go for the next attempt. You know why? I give you an example. If suppose like I had decided that I want to like skip this attempt, I'm not, as I said earlier, I'm not writing, I want to skip this attempt. Okay, I'm deciding next time, as I said earlier, next time before 30 days or before 15 days, the same thought will come because I fed that thought, right? So I will again say, okay, let me postpone it. I will just fail without even writing the exam. I will never become a CA in my life. But the tragedy of that particular thing is that I am not becoming a CA is okay. That is there. But then I am not even attempting. Without even playing the game, I am accepting defeat. Which is worse, you tell me. Maybe if I go, I write the exam in spite of all the efforts, suppose I fail. Still, next time, when the next exam will come, my mind will definitely not tell me, let's just run away. Let's just skip this attempt. At least that kind of a thoughts will not play in my mind. I will go for the exam next time. I will at least have the kind of confidence to study, put in my best strategies and go. You know why? My self image will be high. I will get a kind of like self-taught where I will feel that, okay, I still can do it. I have the confidence. I will put in my best efforts. That is the kind of commentary that will play in my mind. But first time, if I do, like if I budge to the feeling that let me skip this attempt. And that too, skipping the attempt is because of that feeling of, remember, I'm not saying anything about maybe if there is any genuine reason, maybe a illness or maybe any kind of a situation where I genuinely have to skip the attempt, then it is okay. But then in my case, I was planning to skip the attempt because I was scared. I was feeling inadequate. If you are feeling that kind of inadequacy, that kind of a fear, then the image building is very difficult exercise. Building that self confidence, self mastery is very tough because the image is drastically reduced, and getting up from that kind of self crumbled image is very difficult. I'll give you an example. If you fall down, how is it when you fall down from 2 or 3 steps, and how is it when you fall down from the 20th or 25th step? Both the cases, you can get up, you can come back, you can restore to normalcy, but you will know that when you fall from the second or the third step, getting up and then picking yourself up, walking is easier. But if you fall down from the 20 or 25th step, you might even fracture yourself. You might be bedridden for some time. You have to follow all the doctor's advice, everything, and then rebuild yourself drastically. Same thing in this example. If I still kind of like go write the exam, still I fail, even then I have to write the next time. But this is like how falling from the second or the third step, getting up, picking myself up will be very easy for me because my self image is still there. I might have failed in the exam for so many factors, but then the time required to recoup myself mentally is very, very less compared to the other situation. In the other situation, I fed the inadequacy. I actually fed the fear inside. I just gave myself the impression that I am a kind of a person who will run away from any situation. I have no courage to face any situation. This is the kind of image I have built about myself in my mind. With this kind of image, it is like falling from the 25th floor or 25th step, completely fractured, bedridden. Now you have to learn walking. How difficult it is, how much time you need for you to go. So remember, it is not about that self confidence and self mastery. No way we are saying that if you have that self confidence and self mastery, you will actually always end up, you will finish the job always successful, or you will always pass the exam. That is not what we are saying. What we are saying is that even if by unfortunate situation, if the task didn't go as per expectation or it didn't give the result that you expected, still for you to bounce back, the strength is there. Correct? You can bounce back stronger, you can bounce back faster because your self image is being built by that confidence, by self mastery. But if you are feeding the wrong things, then that self image, that self mastery, confidence is lost. Therefore, you to bounce back becomes next to impossible, or it becomes really very, very difficult. Correct? That is what we are trying to say. So when we talk about feedback here, the feedback we are talking about here is the feedback loop that is generated in the mind. Action, experience. There is a feedback loop that is generated in the mind. The feedback loop is that mind is forming an image about your personality, about what is your nature. That loop will be positive there. Correct? So your muscle strength, like just like how it is built, a neural strength or a mind power is built. Any bounce back becomes faster, stronger from a failure. Two people can have failure, but the first person who is like this, who has built that strong self confidence, self mastery because of that consistency, perseverance, and practice, knows how to bounce back stronger, faster, sharper. Correct? But the second person is directionless. Leave alone bouncing back. For him to even get up from the failure becomes very difficult. So that is where the mind really does not think about what is your score. And remember, this mind is a beautiful instrument, right? It always tries to experiment something new. Remember, monotony kills the brain. Experimenting something new, even small things, builds your confidence. So that was my main objective when I had joined music classes. I wanted to really experiment something new. And that is where I thought it's okay even if I don't become a great singer, but I am learning a new skill. That skill and my consistent effort is going to help me build my self image, my self esteem in my mind. That is going to be an intangible asset for me, like goodwill. With that self esteem, I will achieve success in the other areas, which is my main core. Correct? So, in profession as well, if somebody who doesn't know anything about music, and I'm going and sitting with people who have been trained Carnatic musicians for 20, 30 years, and I was doing my music therapy classes. In fact, that's when I was going there. Because just like how yoga therapy happens, I wanted to study the connection between music therapy and yoga therapy. That's when I went there. And I have seen people like who have been trained Carnatic musicians for 20, 30 years who are attending those classes. But still, I enjoyed so much, and I used it as an opportunity for learning more things about music from those people. I never felt small. I was myself surprised. I was never feeling small that these people are trained musicians and I am just a person who is now learning the basic alphabets of music. I was not feeling anything like that. I was myself surprised. You know why I was feeling like that? I was not feeling small. Why was I feeling very good? Because I was being consistent and my image in my mind was boosting actually. That even though I don't know anything about music, I'm consistently taking efforts. I'm not even missing one day of class. I'm not missing even one day of homework. I'm consistently actually showing up. That was actually building my self confidence, and I was not feeling small. I was feeling very happy, and my mind was giving all positive pictures because I am actually projecting myself as a positive person to my mind. I am projecting that I am a person who loves to practice. I am a person who loves consistency. So now what happens? My mind has started showing me the positive, beautiful side of things. My mind is telling me that you can learn so much from these people who are trained musicians for 20, 30 years. This is your opportunity. Grab it. Go talk to them. That is the magic. Because you show the positive picture, your mind will magnify the positive picture and show you. You show the negative picture, same thing will happen. It will magnify and show you all horror movies. So ensure that your mind is that magnifying glass which is capable of filtering the sunlight, capable of catching fire, right? The paper catches fire. So your mind is like that magnifying glass. You show it all the positive rays, it is capable of kind of converging all the rays out there, and that spark will burn and you will be feeling so good. But the same happens if you show it all the negative rays. Same thing will happen. Horror movies will happen. So that is what this is all about. Action strengthens, avoidance weakens. It is not perfection. Action is what matters. Beware of the perfect and ideal trap. You are never perfect to, like in my case, I am never fully prepared to go and write the CA final exam. Even today, you tell me, after 18 years of having passed the exam, you tell me, are you ready to go and write the CA final exam? I might say that maybe I'm not ready. I'm not perfect. Perfection, ideal never happens. Ideal conditions only exist in chemistry laboratories, right? In real world, there is no ideal condition. You have to start driving. The way will reveal itself. Don't wait for that perfect moment or for that ideal condition to come when you will start your journey. Never. It never happens. Now, the relationship between gratitude and self confidence, I can never overemphasize this. The reason why I brought it here is because personally I have experienced gratitude promotes awareness. Remember that address, the first A was awareness. Where you are, where you want to go, how you're going to go, right? And there, where you are, that awareness and how many blessings in life you have, how many help you have, how the universe is supporting you in all the way it can. You will know when you start practicing this gratitude. And as I said, once you train the mind to see all the positive things, it is magical that the mind will magnify all those positive things and show you the beautiful picture. So that is what it happens. Gratitude promotes awareness because the mind will start seeing and recognizing strength even in the most difficult situations. Even when situations appear so kind of gloomy to others, you will be surprised that you will be able to find at least one kind of a good thing there, one opportunity there. You will be able to see the silver lining in the black clouds. That is because you are constantly training your mind. See the good things, see the good things. Mind will refuse to see anything but the good now. So practice that gratitude, and from the scarcity mindset to that abundance mindset, from that awareness, now you will start feeling so good about yourself. I have so many positive things, blessings, support, so many things compared to others. I definitely have an edge. You start feeling like that. And remember, gratitude is the tool for that emotional audit. And what is an emotional audit? Have we ever stopped and tried thinking, this moment, what are the thoughts running in my mind? Am I feeling scared? Am I feeling stressed? Am I feeling anxious? That is emotional audit. You just stop to understand how you're feeling right now, or feeling like just before starting a particular job. And how does gratitude actually help you? How does it actually help you reduce that stress, fear, or anxiety? Let me give you one story, the story of the missed cab. Okay, this is a beautiful story that I read somewhere, but after this, my perspective in life changed. All of us know about what happened on in 2001 September, right? The Twin Towers in New York. It was it crashed, right? The flight came, it crashed. So when I was looking at an article which was written by so many people, survivors of that particular unfortunate incident, one of the articles that I read was, well, a woman had actually written, she was supposed to go to the Twin Tower on some business that day. And she actually maybe lived some 30 minutes away from that place. And she was supposed to take a cab that day to go there. I don't know if Uber existed in 2001. I don't know. Or maybe it was a regular taxi. So she had arranged for that taxi the night before because it was an important business assignment, and she was a sole proprietor, an entrepreneur. So for her, like uh, she doesn't have too many team members whom she can ask to go as well. She has to do certain tasks herself. So she was well prepared because she was expecting a huge business profit, or maybe uh, a good result of that meeting. Morning, on that fateful morning, it so happened that her cab was getting delayed. So the cab was not and she had to be on time to that particular meeting. She tried calling, she tried doing everything, the cab was not coming, and it was totally frustrating for her. She was cursing herself, saying that what is happening, this universe is just conspiring against me. I am like struggling to build my own business, and now I'm not even getting the minimal help that I need. Like even my taxi is not coming, and I don't have the money to get my own car, and like this is getting so frustrating for me. So by somehow she tried like getting another cab, or maybe she got a lift. Somehow she managed to reach the particular place, and she was delayed by more than 1 hour or something. Trust me, she writes, when I reached the place, it was all black smoke, and I was seeing all ambulance, I was seeing all help, rescue, everything there. I was shocked to see the place like that. I never seen New York, Manhattan like that. And then she says that, and then I came to know of what happened. And now I was thanking the same universe. I would have been dead by now. If I had reached on time, I would have been dead by now, because I would be inside the tower, and the so many people lost their lives there, and I would have been gone. So I was worried about a business deal, but in fact, the universe was protecting my life. So I'm still alive. I can actually get so many business deals, or I can make so much of a profit. But then what if I had lost my life? So every missed cab is not about a bad fortune, or it is not about something that we need to curse ourselves for, or we need to curse the universe for conspiring against us. Who knows what is the plan, and do you know what you are being protected against? Sometimes all these detours, all these missed opportunities, all these things that we think that is wrong or is very very unfortunate for us, is actually showing us the right way, or actually is protecting us from something bigger, a greater damage. It is helping us to make the damage minimal. That is what the great lesson that I could learn from reading that particular article. I was feeling that, oh my God, I have also done this mistake. Whenever things don't go as per my plans, I have cursed myself. I have cursed the universe. I have cursed my stars, everything. Oh my God, nothing works my way. But then after reading that article, I've stopped doing that. Today, even if something doesn't go as per my plan, I always feel that's fine. Maybe a bigger plan or a better plan is waiting for me. That's all right. Whatever has happened very well, and whatever is going to happen is also going to happen very well. Practice this. Trust me, your mind will always show you positive pictures. Now, before we go to the last segment where we actually discuss about the personalized plan, the action plan, owning your own professional narrative, this is the last segment that I want to touch upon, the journey from self doubt to self belief. Always remember, self belief is not about the blind faith. It is built on the pillars of self mastery. And the pillars of self mastery is what we spoke about, the address, right? The factors. So it is calculated kind of a journey. It is a calculated risk that we take, even if we have to take. And it is a well informed and grounded process. It is not blindly believing, correct? Similarly, it is building your responsibility to the outside like circumstances, which helps you discharge your responsibility effectively. External circumstances don't change, right? Nothing is going to change externally, but internally, you are going to build an empire like that emperor penguin. You are going to be the master of your own mind, your own self. Your storm of negative thoughts is going to stop now. You will feel it practically. That is where your responsibility changes because the storm is over. A calm mind is capable of miracles. Once the storm passes, the calm returns. Miracles are possible, and it's actually not miracle. It is your mind which is very capable, which you didn't know because all the while there was a storm happening. So you didn't even know what is the capability of the mind. And once the storm passes, it becomes miraculous for us. That is where we are saying competence plus consistency plus confidence is credibility. And remember, this credibility is not about before the credibility that we talk about from other people, it is about our own credibility in ourselves, right? Our image that we are building. Just to give a quick example of the difference between this confidence, do not mistake this confidence for arrogance or overconfidence or blind confidence. I thought maybe a small anecdote from the Titanic story would be very helpful. All of us have read about the Titanic or even maybe even watched the movie, whatever. But then, what is the difference between that blind confidence and proper calculated confidence? When the Titanic was going on its first voyage, they said the ship is totally unsinkable, right? That could be an example of a blind confidence because they really did not think about what if it sinks. They didn't do that what if analysis. And they did not prepare the ship enough for the necessary lifeboats in case such an unfortunate incident happens. So that could be taken as an example of maybe confidence that was not properly built. But then the same story, example of a very beautiful example of self mastery, confidence is like when the ship was sinking, we saw how the crew was actually trying to help people out there. The musicians were still playing their band, trying to keep calm, though they also knew that their own life is in danger since they knew their responsibilities well. And there were people who were trying to escort the women, children first towards the lifeboats, and they were trying to like whatever lifeboats are there first they were escorting the women and children. They were trying to keep very calm, right? They were trying to keep very calm. Okay, I've got one doubt here, I mean one question. I will address it. Just give me 1 minute after the last I got a chat, so give me 1 minute. I will address the question. All right. So what I was saying, like the Titanic. So there were people who were actually directing the women and children towards the lifeboats, and they were trying to maintain the calm out there, trying to do what they can do best in that situation. They themselves being calm and trying to reassure others that we will try our best. Don't panic. The crew was doing that. The musicians were doing that. Other passengers were doing that. That is an example of a self mastery, a confidence that is built on the right pillars of self mastery, right? So it is not about that blind faith. It is not about simply saying that, okay, everything will be all right. No, it is properly calculated, grounded, well informed mastery. All right. So that is from the Titanic story. We will proceed. All right. So this is the last segment where we are talking about the personal action plan, where what we need to do to own our personal narrative, right? Our personal narrative, our personal professional narrative, what we need to do to build that self confidence, that self mastery. We have seen so many things about what is self mastery, the our image, and how what is that feedback loop that we were talking about, the mind and all that. What are some of the practical ways how you can actually work on these lines? Now, let us make it very simple. Always, again, one other thing I wanted to mention was always, whenever we are starting something, let us start at the lowest level, because that is where we always climb the stairs from the first step, right? We don't go to the 25th step all of a sudden. So, that ways the confidence is also gradually built. So, that is why I have started with just one strength here. So, you identify and write down the following: your greatest strength. What, according to you, is your greatest strength? Your biggest challenge or fear? And third point, how and what do I want to be remembered for? This is your personal kind of a brand, right? And for the next 1 week, you plan your day on displaying your strength, whatever you're identified there, that one strength. That 1 week, you try displaying that strength more, eliminating the challenge, and promoting the brand. I'll give you one example. If, for example, your biggest strength is your technical competence, okay, you're very good at something on a technical level, your biggest challenge or fear is like working as a team. Maybe you are not able to work as a team together, meaning that that aspect, your team player aspect, is something where you really fear, not very comfortable. And how and what do I want to be remembered for? Your personal brand. Maybe you really want to be called uh, a great team player, or somebody who is the go-to person for this particular skill. Correct? The technical aspect, whatever you think you are very good at, your strength, you want your teammates to acknowledge that, and you want your teammates to say that this person is such a team player. He actually known for rescuing the team whenever we are in crisis based on his skill. Like maybe just like the star cricketer who comes to the rescue of the team whenever the team is in crisis. You want to be remembered like that. Now, what will you do? For 1 week, how can you work on your strength so that you can eliminate the challenge, and you can get to where you want to be known for? What you will do? Your greatest strength is that technical aspect, correct? That one area, one particular accounting standard, or one particular lease accounting, or something where you're too good at, correct? Challenge is team player. You're not able to work as a team. So, what will you do for this? You will try to identify, and your goal is to be that go-to person in the team rescuer. What will you do? You will first study what exactly is your team looking for, the goal of the team, where exactly they need help, the team goal. Try to sync your strength to how you can merge with what the team is looking for. For example, taking an example from cricket as well, need of the hour is what? Maybe you are a great kind of a batsman, but then will you not adjust your skill according to what the team requires now? For example, if you are chasing a very moderate total in a 50 over match, if you are just chasing a total that is below 300, you have a lot of balls still remaining, but you don't have wickets in hand. Will you start playing aggressively? You want to secure your wicket, right? You want to stay there for a long time. You want to ensure that whatever is your skill, it is actually helping the team win the match. Similarly, you will secure your wicket and first play slowly until the time you feel confident that it is safe for me to start hitting boundaries. Correct? Similarly, here, how can you help the team with your technical skill? Will you not go out of the way just trying to see, okay, this is the requirement of the team at this point. How can my technical skill help them in any possible way? Try analyzing that. Then what happens if you do that? You will automatically be known for the person you want to be remembered for as the great batsman who saved the match for us, the great batsman whose technical skills are much in need. He's the go-to person whenever the team is in crisis. Correct? This is one example. But the idea is identify the strength, identify the challenge, and see how you can work on your strength to eliminate that challenge to be known for what you want to be known for. That's your personal brand. Correct? Then keep a tracker or journal to take quick notes. Record your experiences, right? Daily journaling, because without that, improvement is very difficult. And very important, at least 1 point of gratitude per day or whatever the incidents that have happened during that day, record the gratitude point. Automatically, your mind opens up to seeing the positive aspects. If possible, one accountability partner who knows you very well, a friend, mentor, coach, family member who can work with you on the above journey to give you some good feedback, that will be helpful. But even if it is not there, it is still fine. That is just optional. And again, self love. Remember to be kind. Remember to motivate yourself. Track your progress. Track how well you are doing. And you can maybe extend this. So you can do this for 1 week and maybe extend it for further weeks. And after a point of time, you can change the variables, meaning you can change that strength. You can change you can move to another strength, challenge, or fear and see how you can inculcate that to build your personal brand. These are just some ideas. You can always improvise on that. You can cut it according to your size. You can always do all the editing out here. This is one example, and this is based on my personal experience. So I will be glad to hear if you have more experiences, more ideas. And again, the conclusion is that this is your story. As I told you, give yourself the best version of it. आपकी पिक्चर है, आप हीरो हैं. Do whatever you want, but ensure you play the best version for yourself. Thank you. And I think there was one question which I'm not able to see. If anybody can read what's the question out there, ma'am? Pragya, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. One doubt, if the other person who drives the car is not at all following traffic rules or does rush driving against us, what to do? However, we are self disciplined. Can we come out of such a storm? That is a situation entirely out of our control. Please explain.
Okay, great question. I think because I referred to traffic, so I'm able to see that also now. So I'm sorry we are running short of time, but I'll try to make it like very, very easier for you. Very beautiful question. I'm very happy with this question that has come here. So, okay, first of all, I don't think why motivation is short lived. Another question: why motivation is short lived but consistency triumphs? Okay, I'll try to answer both. So the first question, first of all, I don't see this situation as a storm. I'm sorry to differ here. The other person is not following traffic rules or does rash driving against us. Seeing that as a storm by itself is kind of feeding the negativity, as I was telling you. You might have heard about there are two things: our areas of control, areas of influence, right? We have already seen that. Worrying about things that are not in our control is definitely not a great idea, and to think of that as a storm is not a very right approach, because it will trigger the negative aspects of the brain. Having said that, we have to safeguard ourselves. Your point is right. We cannot allow the other person to come and dash against our car and suffer injury or like kind of damage to the car, right? In these situations, it's called the garbage truck rule. Many a times it's called like, don't take garbage because of somebody else's bad behavior. Don't pick up that garbage, allow it to enter your mind. That is rule number one. So when we do that, we are not thinking of that situation as a storm. We are not thinking of that situation as something which is affecting us, right? That is first. Second part of it, how do we safeguard ourselves? Good question. So if the person is doing a rash driving, my idea would be slow down, allow the person to pass. Usually what I do is, if the person is trying to usually when I drive, this is what I do. If the person is continuously honking, doing rash driving, not kind of like he wants to overtake you, give him the way, let him just go. And there is absolutely no need to fight these kind of racing battles on the road. So if the person is kind of like driving in the same direction. Usually that is how it is. You don't find people coming in these days most roads are one way. You don't find people coming rashly in the opposite direction unless and otherwise such a road exists. But I will give you the solution for that as well. And this is my experience. Of course, there might be better answers. What I would do is first not think of that situation as something that is going to affect me. I will remain calm. This is something beyond my control. I don't have to think too much about this. Give this person way. Let him go ahead. I'm happy. I don't want to race or go first or something like that. Let him go. Or maybe we think that the person is doing rash driving, but there comes empathy. Maybe he's in such a situation, he's rushing to the hospital, or maybe he's going to a place where he's really in need. This kind of empathy really makes me feel good for that person. I give that person mentally, I think, okay, maybe this person is in a real rush because there is something he's going towards an emergency situation. I think that it is rash driving, but who knows what is happening in his life. That empathy actually makes me feel empathic towards that person. I no longer feel bad. I no longer feel that this situation is a storm or this is, don't have feelings of anger or irritation against that person. I only now feel that, okay, let me give this person way. Maybe he is rushing towards the hospital or he has an emergency. Wherever he is going, let him go there safely. I will give him way, let him go. So that is my only solution, what I have followed. And I'm never in a hurry. Whenever I see such people rash driving, I give them the way. Somebody is coming from the opposite direction. There have also been situations where I will move towards the corner of the road. In fact, for some few seconds, I will be stationary out there. I will stop my car. I will allow that person to go. Then I will continue my journey. For me, life is precious. And these few minutes of like who's going to go first or who is going to reach first or like 5 minutes, 10 minutes earlier I reached, these things don't matter. First, the ultimate thing here is don't allow these things to first enter your mind. Don't think of this as a storm and always try to sometimes display empathy that the other person also maybe has an emergency situation. Otherwise, maybe he will not be doing this. That makes things easier for me. At least I don't know if that is a reality, but at least by saying that, I I am able to avoid the feeling of anger and irritation towards the other person. When I try to think of the situation that this person maybe is rushing to the hospital, maybe his family member is admitted in a hospital, or maybe his child is not well. These things, it makes me feel empathetic towards the person. I no longer feel that rush of anger or irritation. I don't curse the person. It makes me feel good. And a calm mind, as I said, is capable of thinking of a lot of solutions. So that is the thing that I follow. The second question is why motivation is short lived, but consistency triumphs in winners. How can we practice gratitude? Great, great. I will try. I in fact want to do a separate session on this, but I will try to give you a quick answer on this. Motivation is short lived because, as I told you in my example, motivation is just like that energy. Okay, to give you a short example, during Diwali time, you have that firecrackers, right? That firecrackers, that hand, you have that firecrackers. Motivation is like that firecracker. It will give a lot of like light, it will sparkle, it will shine, but it fades away completely. But your consistency is like that small diya. That is, you put the oil, you put that thread, and you just light the diya. It will continue shining maybe for hours until the oil gets over. But the kind of sparkle, the chamatkar will not be there. So, motivation is a kind of instant adrenaline rush. You read something, you get fascinated. To give you an example of my own journey, you read an article about yoga, you read an article about fitness, you get over enthusiastic. That rush is there. Immediately, I want to become fit. Immediately, I want to become a yoga practitioner. That is motivation. But trust me, how long will that last? It will, the article you read will be able to give you energy only for some time. Second time you take and read the same article, that is law of diminishing utility, right? It will not give you the same kind of motivation that it gave you the first time you saw that article. Consistency is whether you feel like doing it or don't feel like doing it, you have to do it. It is just like a rule written. Whether I like or not, I have to go to school. If somebody told you that you go to school when you're motivated, as children, would we have gone to school? We know that most of us hated school until we came to the higher classes. But it was a consistency. Your attendance is mandatory. You have to come to school. That is why we have become qualified people. We have become a great qualified professional qualification. All that happened because consistency is there. You like it or not, you have to wake up in the morning, get ready, go to school. That is consistency. That is why it produces winners. If I tell you that you go to school whenever you are motivated, I am very sure that most of the times I will never feel like going to school. Showing up, that is consistency. Every day you are doing it. So it is producing winners because you are practicing. You are doing it every day. You like it or not, you have to do it. It becomes part of you after some time. I hope it was clear, but I'll definitely make it a very elaborate session if there is a chance to do this as a separate session. And how can we practice gratitude? Very easy, as I told you. End of the day, and one thing I want to make it very clear. Many people think that I'm a very, they say that I often feel very thankful for everything. So I think I'm practicing gratitude. Remember, it has to be very explicit. Say it aloud, write it down in a gratitude journal. It is then that it gets registered in the mind. Say aloud thank you many times as you can to whenever you see somebody doing something which is very good. Getting up in the morning, what I do is like I write down three things which I think I'm very grateful today. I feel very happy about. Three things I feel very happy about in the morning. And in the night when I go to bed, I write three things that really I felt very happy. I felt very grateful for today when as the day moves. Remember, initially you might not get thoughts because as the mind has not been trained to look at all the good things, you might not get ideas. But don't leave, as I said, consistency. Even if you don't get any ideas, it's all right. Take that gratitude journal, keep writing, keep practicing. After a few days, you yourself will see your mind is automatically telling you. Even before you take the journal out, you will start getting, oh, today that person, actually I was looking for something, this person came and automatically gave me that. I felt so good, I'm so thankful. Something like that, you will get ideas. And gratitude need not be big things like the example that I gave of the twin tower. It is not that you feel grateful only if your life is saved. Sometimes, like when you're looking for something very desperately, someone just comes there, they gives you that. You feel so happy. Oh my God, I've been searching for it for the last 2 hours. You gave me, I'm so happy. God bless you. That is gratitude. Okay. Hope I was able to answer that.
Thank you, madam. It's a wonderful session, and it has been such an honor to be part of this wonderful webcast on the advantage, building self mastery skill for professional success, organized by the Professional Skill Enrichment Committee (ICI). And we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speaker, Shada ma'am, for her enlightening session, and a wide round of applause. And thanks to the organizer, Professional Skill Enrichment Committee of ICI, our today's resource person, Shada ma'am, and other stakeholder made the webcast a memorable one. And finally, we would like to thank all of you present here and the helping us make this webcast a grand success. Thank you one and all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.